Hello everybody, I'm Stephanie. Tonight I have a special treat for you. We're going to be doing a restorative yoga flow tonight. So if you've never done a restorative class before, these are fabulous for people that are wanting to just find a little bit more flexibility and release. We're not building too much strength. And for those of you that are type A personalities that you're always go, 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 these are fabulous to pair with your life to kind of bring things down. So we're going to be needing a couple of props for tonight. You're going to need a blanket that you can roll up, or if you have a very thick pillow or a bolster, you're going to need that blanket again, or just a smaller pillow. You're going to need a set of blocks or books, and you're going to need a strap, or you can also use a belt or a scarf or something like that. So there should be things around your house or wherever you're at that you can use, but we're going to be using some of these props just to kind of find a little bit of alignment so that we can really get into the poses. So join me on your mat wherever you're at, and let's get started. So we're going to begin tonight coming into child's pose, and with each of these postures we're spending quite a bit of time just letting the muscles release. So if you're ever needing to wiggle or rearrange, you're welcome to do that, and I'm going to be making some modifications for every kind of body part, but this should be a flow that anybody can do. But we're going to begin in child's pose. So coming, toes touching, knees apart, reaching your tailbone back towards your heels, palms reaching out in front of you and grounding down, either forehead to mat. You can grab your pillow, you can grab a block if you want to put some height underneath your forehead, but taking a few moments to come into the body and just check out how things are feeling. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally. You might be feeling a little cooped up, and so you might be feeling trapped, and that can make your body feel very tight. So finding some freedom in your mind with the breath. Big inhales through the nose, body fills up, and exhales through the nose, relaxing down, just letting everything melt. In through the nose, breathing space into the vertebrae, into the hips, into the shoulders, the neck. And exhale, relaxing in. So really taking control of the breath. 2 more sets, breathing in and out. Biggest breath of the day so far, breathing in. And when you can't breathe in anymore, take just a tiny sip more. And exhale, let it all out. When it feels like you're completely empty, empty even a little bit more. And as we're moving between these postures tonight, just really taking your time, because since we're spending so long in these postures, even though certain muscles are relaxing, other muscles are still engaging, and they can get a little talkative, a little tight. So very gently, walking your hands back up towards your knees. And then you're going to grab either your blanket or just a low pillow. And we're coming to an easy posture. So the tailbone is right on the edge of that blanket or pillow. And then you can just crisscross applesauce or one leg in front of the other. But you'll notice that kind of lifts the hips a little bit. And then both hands, palms down on either knee. We're going to be taking a seated cat-cow. So on the inhale, reach the heart forward, chin reaches up. Exhale, spine reaches back behind you, chin to chest. keeping that connection on the knees, moving with the breath very slowly, very gently. Inhale, lift the heart, lift the chin. Exhale, let everything close back. Spine reaches back behind you. 3 more at your own pace. Inhale to lift. Exhale to round. Deep breaths, really slowing it down. Inhale, seated cow. Exhale, seated cat. Last one at your own pace. And then coming back to your nice tall seated posture, belly button pulls in and you lift up through the crown of the head. So you're sitting really, really tall. The heart's not reaching forward, the spine's not reaching back. You're in this nice neutral position. And you're going to bring the palms together out in front of you. And then the right arm goes underneath your left. We're setting up eagle arms. You can just give yourself a little hug. Maybe you bend the elbows and keep a V in the arms. You can touch the back of the palms together, or you can bring the right thumb closer to your face and wrap it around so that you're touching the palm still. You're not pulling on the left thumb. So you've got all those different options. Just finding where you're comfortable. We're finding some release, some length in the back of the scapula and the shoulders. We're going to take that cat and cow again, but this time we're going to use our eagle arms to find a little bit more depth into the shoulders. So inhale, arms reach up, chin reaches up, heart reaches forward. Exhale, chin drops to chest, elbows come in towards the belly, spine reaches back behind you. So it might not be quite as deep as it was to begin with. We're bringing more intention, awareness to opening up the shoulders. And again, if any choice you've made starts to become a little bit too intense, don't power through. We're not wanting to break any body parts. Find a different version for yourself. And then coming back to center. And then this time, we're finding some movement side to side. It might be very, very small depending on how much flexibility you have in your shoulders, but just reaching the palms from side to side. And the next time, you're over towards your left knee, using your top right hand, tiny, tiny press to find a little bit more rotation in the left shoulder. Back to center. Very gently unwind, release your bind. Maybe take those shoulders, roll them up and back, roll them up and forward. And then we're going to take the other side. So palms come together. This time, right under left. Bend the elbows, give yourself a hug. Did I do that side? Yes, I did. So left under right. Sometimes I get a little confused, sorry. Give yourself a hug, bend the elbows, back of palm, or this time left thumb closer to your face, and find your bind. So opposite hand, find your cat-cow. Inhale, chin reaches up, fingers reach up, heart reaches forward. Exhale. Chin to chest, elbows towards belly, spine reaches back. So again, just noticing how this side feels, if it feels the same, or if it feels a little bit different, it might feel a little bit tighter. Just letting be wherever you're at. Last one. And then coming back to your nice tall spine, take that movement again side to side, through the hands, through the shoulders. Doesn't have to be very big. And next time, you're reaching over towards your right knee, use your top left hand to tiny, tiny press. Find a little bit more extension in the right shoulder. Arms come back to center. Very gently unwind. Give those shoulders a roll again, back and forward. And then we're going to bring the soles of the feet together. So we're changing from an easy posture to a seated butterfly. So depending on how your hips are feeling, you can just let the knees stay open like this, or you can grab your books or your blocks and place them underneath the knees so that it's not quite as intense and you've got some support underneath the knees here. So you don't have to worry about it becoming too intense. And then just very gently, hands are going to stay with the feet or with the ankles. Exhale, chin comes to chest. And then we're going to take some neck rolls, reaching the chin from one shoulder towards the other. Just noticing how that feels in the sides of the neck, in the upper back. Next time you're over towards your right shoulder, big circle with the chin, up and around. Reverse your direction. And then reach your chin back to center, neck comes back up to neutral, and then you're going to reach your right ear towards your right shoulder. Just spending a breath or two here, noticing how that feels in the left side of the neck. If that's intense enough, you can stay there. You can even bring the chin in closer to the chest and make it a little bit more intense on the left side. Or even if you want to take it a little bit further, left hand's going to reach for the opposite shin. So that's just intensifying the stretch on the left side of the neck. And if any of those become too much, you can come out of that posture or out of that choice. Just as we went in, we want to come out the same way. So left hand comes back to the left ankle or shin. Chin comes back out a little bit, and the neck comes back to neutral. Other side, left ear towards the left shoulder. Just spending a few moments here, noticing how it feels on the right side of the neck. That might be enough. If you'd like to take it further, chin comes closer in towards the chest. If you'd like to take it even deeper, right hand reaches for your opposite shin. So instead of thinking, I need to take the hardest thing possible, I need to rock this restorative flow, just really taking the opportunity to listen to your body and see what you're needing for today. We've got a lot going on right now. You may not be physically doing quite as much, but emotionally there is so much going on, and that resonates in our bodies. Just as we went in, we come out. Right hand comes back to the right leg. Chin comes back out a little bit in front of us. And neck comes back up to neutral. You're going to remove the blocks or anything that you've put underneath your knees. And you're going to come off of the pillow or blanket that you're sitting on. And you're going to take your blanket, if you've rolled it up, or a bolster, and you're going to bend your right knee and left foot's going to reach out to the side. You're going to take your blanket or your bolster, I'll do it with a blanket here so you can see how it is, and you're going to place it in the left hip. So all this is doing is creating a little bit of cushion so you don't feel like you have to go down so far. If you're wanting to, you can always remove the blanket to take it a little bit further. Torso is going to stay to the front. Arms reach up overhead, and then left arm's going to make a connection. Maybe you just reach to the shin. Maybe you reach to the ankle. Maybe you reach to the toes. Right arm reaches up and over, so it's a big stretch into the low back, the QL of the right side. And you can rest on that blanket. You can even bring the hand underneath and support the head. You can just let the hand rest, but really breathing into the stretch, breathing into the right side body. So the right armpit staying turned up towards the ceiling, torso still stays front, so you're not turning to the side with your torso. Just really noticing how the longer you stay here, the deeper the stretch becomes, the more gravity helps. On your next inhale, we're going to come back up to center. Hands are going to come back down, and your torso is going to twist over towards the left. So this time, we're having a forward fold towards that left leg. You can keep the blanket there again. You can remove it if you'd like to. And just framing the leg, reaching the heart forward. And then when you're as far forward as you can go, melting down. And then once you're here, can you soften the glutes and the knees? So in addition to feeling this in the low back on the right side, you should also be feeling this on the upper left hip. Just breathing into any discomfort you feel, coming up a little bit higher if it's a little bit too intense, or breathing into the stretch. We're here for one more breath. And then very gently walk the hands back up, torso comes back to center, and we're going to move to the other side. So the left leg is going to come in, the right leg is going to extend wide, the pillow or the blanket is going to move to the right hip. Torso stays front. Inhale, both arms reach up overhead. Big side bend, so right hand connects down, shin, ankle, toe. Left arm reaches up and over, armpit up towards the ceiling. Breathing in to the low back, the QL of the left side. You can rest on that blanket. You can bring a hand underneath your head. You can keep that connection. You can let go of it. We're here for 2 more breaths. Really releasing into the left side. On an inhale, come back up. And exhale, hands come down. Torso turns to the right. So you're looking towards your right toes, framing either side of the foot, reaching the heart forward. So it's not a rounding of the spine, but you're reaching the heart, finding length, and then melting down. Softening again on this side, the knees, the glutes, feeling this in the low back of the left side and the upper right hip. One more breath here on this side. And then very gently walking the hands back up. Torso comes back to center. And you're going to remove your blanket or your pillow or whatever you had. And then both feet are going to come in. Hands are going to come out in front of you. And you're just going to remove, or not remove, excuse me, move, can't remove, some of the fluff. The feet are going to come out in front of you. We're not coming into a reclined or to a seated butterfly, so the feet aren't coming really close in. We're going to walk them down. So this is a restorative tortoise posture. So make any adjustments you need. Reaching for the shins, the ankles, maybe the tops of the feet. Heart reaches forward. And then just noticing where you're comfortable. If you're able to come down to the forearms, reaching the arms underneath the legs. You can grab a block and put this underneath your head here. Or depending on your body type, you can just reach your forehead down to the mat. but feeling this in the center of the low back. And if you'd like to even take it farther, you can reach the hands back behind you, palms up. So just noticing how that feels. If that's a little bit too intense, keeping the hands reaching out in front of you, underneath the legs, maybe they stay on top. Just making any kind of adjustments that you need. Breathing that intention, the stretch, into this very center of the low back. Two more sets of breath, make them really good. And then very gently from whence you came, if the hands are reaching back behind you, bringing them out one at a time. If they're underneath, bringing them out one at a time, walking the hands back up, crossing the feet, and the hands are going to come out in front of you. Now we're not spending a lot of time on the wrists and the knees because we don't want all of that weight to really get into there. We want to release down. But keeping the hips lifted, walk the hands forward as far as you can, and then coming into puppy dog pose. So this is kind of a more restorative posture for down dog. So this is always an option if you're wanting to get that length in the low back and the middle back and the upper back, but you're not wanting to come into down dog. Now depending on how much activation you want, you can keep the elbows lifted. Maybe you come down to the forearms, but the hips stay at the arms. So we're moving, stretch up. We did the sides, did the low back, starting to feel in the breath, the length, move into the back, maybe into the side. One more cycle of breath here. And then very gently back up, forehead comes off of wherever it's resting. And we're going to take a little bit of movement and some stretches in the wrists, because in a vinyasa flow, this can get very, very tweaky. If we get tired, we tend to dump there. So spinning the hands out, so counterclockwise with the left hand to the left, clockwise with the right hand to the right. So taking it very slowly, and then keep spinning counterclockwise with the left, clockwise with the right. So the fingers are pointed back towards your knees. Just very gently, you can stay here if it's very intense. Maybe you rock forward a little bit to take some of the intensity out, or to even take it a little bit further, shifting back just a little bit. But be very, very gentle here, especially if you're hypermobile. You're not wanting to press those joints out even more. So if you have a tendency to really press through the elbow, instead of pressing through the elbow, we're wanting to stretch out the wrist, soften the elbow, find a little bit of engagement here to keep that, and then reach back. So we're feeling the stretch, not in the elbow. And very gently coming back, unwind, clockwise with the left, counterclockwise with the right. And then you're going to flip the palms, palm up, fingers again in towards your knees. This might be enough. You might rock forward if it's a little bit too intense, rock back if you want to take it a little bit further. We're not here for very long, so breathing into the stretch in the wrists. Very gently unflip the palms. You're going to walk the hands back towards the knees and just take some circles with the wrists. One direction and then the other direction. You're going to want to grab either your rolled up blanket, your thick pillow or a bolster if you have one. And you're going to put that back behind you. We're going to use it in just a moment. We're coming into stretches now for the legs. The right foot is going to step out in front of you, and the right shin is in line with the top of your mat or the short edge of your mat. You're rolling over to the right hip just a little bit. Left hip's going to stay lifted, and the left toes stay in line with the ankle and the knee. If you need to, maybe you move the calf out of the way a little bit if that connection feels a little bit too tweaky. If the left knee is a little bit too intense, using the hand to pull the kneecap up a little bit. So you're shortening the hamstring here so it doesn't get quite as intense, because we're going for a hamstring stretch. Then getting the pillow or whatever you've got behind you for support. Hands are going to come back behind you. Tuck the bum under. And then just beginning to lay back. So we're coming into a restorative half hero here, but really listening to the left thigh. When you begin to feel the quad stretch, you want to stay there for a moment. Even if you know, I can go all the way down to my back without this support. Sometimes it's really nice just to relax and let things stretch out. So we're not going for brownie points here for depth of posture. Very gently, keeping the bum tucked under, laying back on your blanket or pillow, and just spending some time sending the breath into the left thigh. Noticing how from the hip you're rolling in with the leg. So if you feel like you're rolling out the leg, readjust. That's why we're keeping the left hip lifted. We want to find that roll in half hero, because someday when we go to full hero, both hips want to roll in and not out. Settling in for 2 more cycles of breath. Big inhale, fill up. And big exhale, melt in. Very gently coming back to the palms. Core is going to pull in a little bit to protect the low back as you sit back up. Rock way over to the right hip. Left leg is going to come out and around, and you're going to switch sides. So the right knee is going to bend. Left shin is going to stay in line with the short edge of your mat. Right hip stays lifted. Right toes, ankle, knee. What do you need to do on this side? Do you need to pull the kneecap back? Do you need to pull the calf out? As you're beginning to lean back, tucking the bum under. So you're tipping the pelvis back. And then just noticing how this side feels, sending the breath into the right thigh. Noticing the internal rotation of the hip. If it's rotating out, can you encourage it to rotate in? And if any of these are ever too intense, you can stop anywhere. You might just be sitting like this, and that's okay. We're here for 1 more breath. And then pull the core in, press through the palms, coming back to a seated position. Rock way over to the left hip, and the right knee is going to stack on top of the left. We're going to take a twist here. This is one of my favorite restorative postures. This is twisted child's pose. So you're going to keep that pillow or that support right up against the hip. And then you can unstack the knees if you want to as we're rolling onto the left side, but keeping that support right up against the torso. Torso is going to turn to the left. So as you do that, keeping the knees pointed to the side, torsos to the left, And then reaching the heart forward, we're melting down over top of this support. You can put the forehead straight down, maybe spend a few breaths there. If you'd like to take it a little bit deeper, and if this becomes too intense, do not stay here. Right ear is going to come to your support. So you're continuing the twist all the way up through the spine, from the hips. It's a very, very deep twist on the left side of the neck. So if it becomes too intense, you're welcome to bring just the forehead back down. But instead of pressing into the mat and keeping all of this anxiety as if you're going to hurt yourself, can you just let go and notice how the elbows are softening? Maybe the hands walk out wider to the side. You can cactus the arms. But just trusting the support that's underneath you. You can always untwist the head. One more big inhale. And exhale, melting in. Untwisting from the neck first. So neck comes back to neutral. Palms come back underneath the shoulders, and you lift yourself back up. So even as we're coming out, we want to make sure that we're coming out in specific ways so that we're not crunching or tweaking the body in unnatural ways. You're going to take the bolster or your pillow or your support to the other side and flip your legs to the other side. So we're coming to the other side of our twisted child's pose. So you're sitting on the right side, both knees are bent, support is right up against the right side, the right hip. Torso goes to the right, and then just very gently melting. If it's too intense on one side, you can either double it up, another pillow, some more blankets, but just melting down very gently. Maybe you pause for a moment, get things situated. Maybe the forehead comes down. Or you can take the twist, left ear to the support. Very gently untwisting the neck, walking the hands back up, bringing those feet out in front of you and removing that blanket or the pillow or support or whatever you have out of the way. You're going to come all the way down onto your belly. So however you get there, just very gently. We're going to take some movement through the hips. Left arm is going to come out to the side. You can move a pillow out of the way, or if it's there, you can use that too. And then the right hand's going to stay underneath your shoulder. Left ear is going to come to the mat. You're going to bend your right knee, and we're finding a hip opener here. This is kind of a restorative version instead of from our three-legged dog. Using your right palm, press into the mat, rolling onto your left side. Right foot's going to touch back behind you. And my pillow's in the way, so I'm going to move that real quick here. That's what happens when you have a lot of props. You got to move stuff around. So again, left arm's extended, left ear's to the mat, right arm's underneath, hands underneath your shoulder. Bend your right knee. Press and roll onto your left hip. Right toe's going to reach back behind you very gently. Exhale, come back down. So we're just taking some gentle movement. Inhale, roll left side. Right toes reach back behind you. Come back down. One more time. Inhale, lift. It might feel good for the toes to touch down. It might feel good for the whole foot to come down. We're holding the hip opener here this time. If it's a little bit too intense, come back down to the belly. It's also a big stretch in the left shoulder. If it feels okay, right arm can reach up towards the ceiling. You can even reach it back behind you towards your left hip. So really feeling the opening in the right hip. If the right hand, you've taken that half bind behind you, right arm reaches back up, comes back down to the mat, and you roll back down onto your belly. Other side. Right arm extends, left hand stays underneath your shoulder, left knee bends. On the inhale, press with your left hand, left foot reaches back behind you, just real small to begin. Exhale, come back down. Inhale, press, lift, roll onto the right hip, left foot's reaching back behind you. Come back down. This third time, this is where we're going to be holding. So deciding where you'd like to be. The foot can hover, the toes can touch down, the sole can come down. You can keep the left hand planted. You can reach it up towards the ceiling. You can wrap it behind you. Different side, not only are you opening the left hip, but it's a deep, deep opening of the right shoulder. So if it's too much, even on the right shoulder, and it just feels like it's pinching, come back down a little bit. One more breath. If you've taken the half bind, left hand comes back up. Left palm comes back down. And you roll back down towards your belly. Neck comes back to neutral. Hands come underneath you. And you're going to press yourself back up. Now for this next one, you're going to either want a pillow or your blanket or maybe some blocks. We open the hip one direction. We're going to open it the other way. So coming up to hands and knees, you're going to thread your left foot underneath. So just beginning first on the knees, and then you're going to walk your right knee back. And as you do that, you're walking your left foot out too. So you're coming onto the left hip, but notice, do you have the tendency to untwist? You want to keep the twist in the hips. So the pelvis is over towards the left, the right hip is down. If it's too much and you're like, I can't get the right hip down, it just doesn't want to work, you can always get a blanket or some kind of support and put it underneath the left hip. That's going to give a little bit more height to help find the rotation in the right hip. And then we're coming down here. So this is a restorative fallen triangle. Both legs are fully extended. So you're really, really stretching the outer side of the left hip. We opened it up one direction. Now we're stretching it the opposite direction. Really continue to roll down, right hip, right hip, right hip. You can stay up on the forearms. You can come all the way down. One more breath. Then coming back gently up to the forearms. Coming back up to the hands. Bend the right knee, bend the left knee. And coming back to your tabletop. So it's always nice to have blocks. I like to tell, or have props. I like to tell people it's better to have them and not need them than to say, oh my gosh, I need something, and then you got to run for it. So if you use the pillow on one side, maybe try it on the other side too. You're coming onto hands and knees. Right foot's threading over to the other side, beginning to walk back the left knee and extend the right leg. I'm going to move this up here so I don't kick my shelf. We're setting up this fallen triangle on the other side. So it might take a little bit of finagling, a little bit of wiggling. Left hip is coming down, so the hips are square. You really don't want to roll open to the side. You really want to keep this hip down. And just notice how that's feeling on this side. You can stay on the forearms. You can come down. Just breathing in to the outside of the right hip. Coming back up to the forearms, back up to the palms, bend the knees, and coming back up to your tabletop. Maybe take a little movement through the hips, just rocking side to side if they've gotten a little stuck for a moment. We're moving those props out of the way, and then walking those knees back, coming back down to your belly. We've worked through the hips. We've worked through the, we're going to move down the legs into the quads. So left ear can come to the mat or the right, or you can just be face down. It's up to you. I'm going to turn my left ear to the mat so I can look at you guys. But bending the right knee, and you're reaching back for the inside or the outside, it doesn't really matter, of the right foot. If you can't make that connection and you're still kind of just reaching back, you can even get your strap, make a loop, and hook the foot to pull it in. If I can actually hook it here. That might be half the struggle, hooking the foot. And then using the hand to pull it in. You can pull it in either direction. And you're going to pull the foot in, if you can, towards your hip and then open it up just a little bit further if you want to take it further. The heel is already touching the glute. Pull the foot to the side just a teeny tiny bit and in, but be careful not to W sit the toes out to the side. We don't want to turn them out. You're just sending the stretch into the right hamstring. And release, other side. If you're on one ear, come to the other. Left knee bends. Grab inside, outside of the foot. You can use your strap, but pulling it in. If the heel's touching the glute, foot goes to the side just a little bit to take it even deeper. With just as much care, releasing. The left hand's going to come back underneath. And you're going to press yourself back up and grab a pillow or two. We're going to open up the hips one more time. Coming into a half frog. So your pillow is going to come into about halfway of your mat. The right knee is going to open up to the side. And then you're going to walk the left knee back. It's up to you how deep you want to take this. The knee might be way down below the hip. It might be in line with the hip. It might be above the hip. But the hips are down towards the mat, and then you're coming down. So this is just a deep frog on one side. We're only here for a moment. And then coming back up, left knee comes back in and switching sides. So this time left knee is on your support. Bending the knee, opening up the hip to the side, right knee reaches back. And then you decide where you'd like your left knee to be. Down, in line, up higher. But the pelvis is down and not to the left. We're only here for 2 more breaths. And the hands come back underneath the shoulders. Right knee comes up and your left knee comes in. You guys are doing such amazing work. It really is kind of work to let go into these postures. And I'd really love to take some time with you all and spend even more time on these postures, but I wanted to have a restorative flow tonight that hit all the different parts of the body. So you're going to come onto your back, and before you come all the way down, make sure you have access to your strap, your blanket, and your block or your book. And you're going to come all the way down to your back and grab your strap or your belt or whatever you have. I'm going to move this so I'm not sitting on it. And you're coming all the way down to your back. Eventually here. Both knees are going to bend to begin with. And then you're going to grab the strap and take the loop, bring your right knee in and put it underneath the bottom side of the right foot. Both hands are on either side of the strap. You're going to press your heel up towards the ceiling. This time we're sending the stretch back into the hamstring. You can keep the left knee bent. If you'd like to, you can extend it. But as we're walking the hands up, so you're reaching up higher and higher, you're doing this on the exhale. So inhale, walk. Exhale, pull in. Inhale, walk. Exhale, pull in. Stop where you need to when the right hamstring has gone deep enough. Walk the hands up. Exhale, pull it in. We're holding here in the very edge for your right hamstring. Then you're going to transfer both straps and give yourself some length. You're going to transfer the straps to the right hand. Make sure you've got some room. With your exhale, you're going to guide your leg to the right, so you're opening up the hip. Inhale it back to center. Exhale it, take it across. Maybe a little bit deeper. In center. Exhale, open it up. This time we're holding, but finding some for the leg to rest on. Maybe you put a block underneath the ankle, a pillow, a blanket. Deep stretch this time for the inside of the right thigh. One more breath. Then the right foot comes up. You're going to switch hands and take both straps, left hand, right palm's going to open up to the side. And you're taking your right foot over to the left. So we're taking a big belly twist here. Inhale back to center. Exhale, cross it over a little bit deeper. Inhale back to center. Exhale, cross it over. This time, right foot's resting on something. If it's not touching the ground, you can keep gazing straight up to the ceiling or take that twist up through the body again, looking over to the right arm. Neck comes back to neutral. Right leg lifts back to center. Bend the right knee and plant the right foot down. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Strap, loop it, and it goes underneath the sole of the left foot, one hand on either side of the strap. Foot presses up towards the ceiling. Now that may be enough. If it's too intense even there, walk the hands down. Give yourself some length. Maybe the leg lowers just a little bit. It doesn't have to stay straight up. If you're okay there, find your edge. Inhale, walk. Exhale, pull. Right knee can stay bent, right leg can go long. Inhale, walk the hands up. Exhale, pull, stopping on the side for the left hamstring. It's a different side. You want to listen to what it's saying. But all the support is coming from this strap, so you're not having to press the foot into the strap. The strap is pulling into the foot, so this leg is very inactive. So, because when it's inactive, then we can stretch the muscles a little bit further, because all the other muscles aren't counter pulling on those sides. Both straps, they go to the left hand. Right palm opens to the side. Left foot opens up just a little bit. Bring it back to center. So we're just taking this little bit by little bit. Open it up. Bring it back to center. Open it up. This time, full extension of your posture. Maybe the foot touches the floor. Maybe it's resting on a block. Maybe you're just holding it mid-air with the strap. Big stretch inner thigh on the left leg. Left leg comes back up to center. We're switching hands. We're taking our big belly twist, left palm's opening to the side. And on your exhale, left foot's going over to the right. Didn't move that quite enough. Inhale it back to center. Exhale, cross it over. Inhale, center. Exhale, cross it over. Full expression of your pose on this side. Maybe the ankle rests on a block, a pillow, maybe the floor. You can look to the ceiling. You can look to your left hand. Inhale, left leg comes back up. Bend the left knee, remove the strap, and the left foot comes down. Grab your block. We're setting up a supported bridge here. Feet walk in, ankles underneath the knees, knees as wide as the hips. We're going to go either on the first level or the second level. We're not going to go all the way up to the third level because we're going to be lifting up into a supported waterfall. So lifting the hips, putting the block either on level 1 or 2. Hands are going to come down by the sides and lifting through the heart. It might just be very, very subtle. Spending a few moments here, making sure all 4 corners of the block are down in the mat so it's not on 2 corners, you're not rocking on the block. And you can take the block down to the first level, or notice how it feels to lift one leg. And then maybe the other. So you're coming into a supported waterfall. You might have to move the block a little bit. This is a great posture to take if you ever have swelling of the feet or the ankles. Kind of drains everything back down. And then we're going to add to that to bring some swelling out of the wrists or the arms also. So very gently bending the knees, one leg comes back down, then the other. You're going to lift the hips and remove the block or the pillow or whatever you had to lift. Then bring the knees over the belly. The knees are going to stay there. They're just kind of hanging. And the arms are reaching straight up to the ceiling, palms towards your knees, and then let the wrists just kind of hang. So we're draining everything back down. This is a fun little restorative posture. It's called dead bug. So just feeling everything pulling down through the wrists, through the arms, and even the shoulders. So the shoulders are plugged back in. They're not reaching up towards the ceiling. One more breath here. And then finding some movement through the toes, through the fingers, just kind of rolling them around. Feet are going to come back down. You're going to roll to one side or the other. And you're going to grab a couple of things, setting up for your final posture, for your final Shavasana. Now in restorative yoga, you're not building a lot of heat, so you might want to be covering up. You're going to grab a pillow, and you're going to place that right underneath the knees. And then if you'd like to, grab your blanket. You might cover yourself up, get all cozied in. Go straight to bed after this if you're so inclined. If you have a pillow, you can even use a block as a pillow. You're just kind of setting yourself up for a cozy little Shavasana here. And we're really going to spend some time today. I'm going to cocoon myself in. Really spending some time in silence. This song we're going to listen to together has taken on some very special meaning to me with things that are going on, but it's also a great song just to listen to whenever you're just feeling like things are out of control. So closing your eyes, just really listening to the lyrics of this song.
Get some rest. I'm by your side. Lay your head on my chest. I know you've had a really bad day. But I'm right here, it's gonna be okay. The world could fall down, it's gonna be okay. The sun could go out, we're gonna be okay. If all the blue skies fade to gray, we're gonna be okay. Calm your soul. Hold my hand. Don't let go. I understand. I know it hurts. It wasn't fair. It's over now, so don't despair. The world could fall down, it's gonna be okay. The sun could go out, we're gonna be okay. If all the blue skies fade to gray, we're gonna be okay. The world could fall down, it's gonna be okay. The sun could go out, we're gonna be okay. If all the blue skies fade to gray, we're gonna be okay. The world could fall down, it's gonna be okay. The sun could go out, we're gonna be okay. If all the blue skies fade to gray, we're gonna be okay.
Just allowing anything that came up in your body. That song really gets to me. And just being okay with whatever you're feeling. And just needing to find some movement through the body, through the fingers and toes. Very gently, bending the knees, removing any pillow that was underneath your knees or bolster, rolling onto one side or the other. Using your palm, press yourself back up to a seated position. I am so grateful to have been able to spend this restorative time with you. I know it's a little bit different from what we usually do, but I hope it's blessed you as much as it's blessed me. Thank you so much for joining me together with this. So bringing your hands together at heart center. Thankful for the things that you're able to do in your physical body and your emotional body and your spiritual body. Thankful for the things that you're not able to do, that you're recognizing those things, that you can do things in your own way. Thank you so much. Blessings and namaste.